Hello everybody, my name is Megan and welcome to a very belated mid-year book freakout tag. So it is September, which is very much not the middle of the year, but I was not filming videos in the middle of the year, and now hopefully I am. We'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed. I'm also feeling like lazy today, so I have these two shelves here, and if the books that I'm talking about in this tag are not on these two shelves, then editor Megan is just gonna hate me and we're not holding them up, because my life is messy enough right now without me traipsing around my house to pick up books that you can see if I just, put them here. So let's get started. I'm stealing the questions from Kayla from Books and Lala because hers was the first video that popped up when I searched for mid-year book freakout tag, and I have not done my due diligence and figured out what my answers to these questions are before starting filming. So love this for me. We're going to go on a ride together today. So the first question, I really should have prepared for this, is the best book you've read so far in 2023. Oh no. I've read a lot of good things in 2023 and none of them are popping to my head immediately. I know one thing I definitely gave 5 stars was Fourth Wing, so that's fun, by Rebecca Yarrow. That is Business or Pleasure by Rachel and Solomon, and The 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston, also fantastic. What else have I read? Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross I loved, and I also read A Fire Endless and I loved that too. Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. Happy Place by Emily Henry. I read a lot of T. Kingfisher. I've enjoyed a lot of her cozier stuff. You With a View by Jessica Joyce. Right, out of all that, what would I say my favourite is? What do I think? I think my favourite fantasy that I've read is one of the two by Rebecca Ross, and I refuse to clarify it any further than that. And my favourite contemporary is Happy Place by Emily Henry, and that's what we're sticking with. So A Fire Endless is a sequel to A River Enchanted. It is about a bard and the daughter of a laird who are dealing with unrest among the spirits on their island. And Divine Rivals is about Iris, who is writing letters to her brother and putting them in a wardrobe, and then they vanish. And one day she gets a response from the letter, and it's not from her brother, who is at war, it is from somebody else. And she becomes a war correspondent, and all of these things happen, and it's so romantic and so vividly written. It's just, Rebecca Ross's writing has had me in a chokehold this year. I'm obsessed. And Happy Place is about Harriet and Wynne, who were engaged. They break up, they don't tell their friends, and then they have to go on holiday to a beach house that is being sold at the end of summer, so it's like one last hurrah, and have to pretend to be engaged because they haven't told any of their friends that they're not together anymore. Oh, that train, it be loud. And it was so good. I loved it so much. I love Emily Henry's books so much. I finished this one and I was immediately like, oh well, Wynne is my new favourite Emily Henry man. Top tier, top notch, love him. And then I reread Beach Read and I was like, oh but Gusto, Emily Henry does something to my brain. She's just so good. Chef's kiss. Obsessed. The next question is, it's the best sequel you've read so far in 2022. So it was A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross, which I just told you about the first book in the series. It concluded really well. I really liked how the relationships developed and how the other characters sort of grew. It was so beautifully written, and it was such a good conclusion to the duology. And then I also read Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare, which I gave 5 stars, even though it absolutely does not deserve 5 stars, but I got everything I wanted out of it. So that's the third book in the Last Hour series, which is the sequel to The Infernal Devices, sort of just in the Shadowhunter Chronicles as a whole. That's nice and quick. Favourite reread? I've reread a good chunk of things. What was my favourite? I reread Little Thieves by Margaret Owen, in the hopes of reading Painted Devils, and then I've not done, which is about Vanya, who is the goddaughter of Fate and Death, who runs away to become a maid and then ends up stealing the maid's life. That makes it sound like she doesn't murder her, she just steals the title of princess and goes to live as a princess while the princess has to not be a princess anymore. And it's like a retelling of The Goose Girl, and it's so good and I loved it so much, and I'm scared to read Painted Devils because what if it's not as good? But if you've seen my TBR, you know I'm reading it this month, so I'm no longer going to be scared of that. I also reread You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogle this year, which is my favourite romance of all time. It is about Naomi and Nicholas, who are engaged and are having some issues in their relationship and are trying to get the other one to break up with them so that they're not on the hook for their wedding expenses, and maybe in the shenanigans they fall in love again, and it's so good. I love it so much. Genre you've been loving / reading the most? I've been reading a lot of romance because I had a whole 2-month kick where I just read terrible KU books, and I've been reading a lot of fantasy with romance in it. So like some fantasy romance, some like cozy fantasy with like romantic vibes, very like romance heavy. A lot of the sort of chunkier, less romantic fantasy I'm reading I've not been enjoying as much, so I am gravitating towards anything with romance in it. But yeah, I'd definitely say I've read more like contemporary romance than anything else. Oh, I should probably tell you, I've read 142 books up to this point. I don't know what I would have read mid-year because I don't keep a spreadsheet and I don't organise my reading in any kind of way. So this is just, we're just doing it late, and I apologise that the data is skewed. New release. You haven't read yet, but want to. It's Painted Devils by Margaret Owen. It came almost straight away because Limerick is so good at sending out their books, and it's just been sat waiting for me. I got the audiobook immediately, and it's just been sat waiting for me. So it's no longer going to be sat waiting for me. I'm gonna read it. It's gonna happen. But yeah, you already know what Little Thieves is about. Let's move swiftly on. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I am not sure because one of the books that I was excited about got pushed back. Oh, I know what it is. It is Starling House by Alexi Harrow, which is a haunted house story. Alexi Harrow wrote two of my favourite books of all time, The 10,000 Doors of January and The Lots of Future Witches, and they're now doing like a gothic haunted house book about a woman who takes care of her younger brother because their mother died and gets a job working at Starling House, and then I'm assuming things start to go awry. And the cover is stunning. I'm gonna pop it here. Like, beautiful. I'm so excited, and that is definitely my most anticipated book of the latter half of the year. I'm also excited about A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid, but I've only read one Ava Reid book. I have the second on my TBR for this month, so I'm like less excited about that because I don't know if I consistently like their work. Biggest disappointment. Oh, asking the difficult questions. I mean, because I've read so much like trash that I wasn't expecting to be good. Like, it's difficult to pick what my biggest disappointment is. It's like 50% of the things I'm scrolling through, I'm like, well, I didn't expect these to be good, so I wasn't disappointed that they went, oh, I know what it is. Oh, okay, it's Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. I gave this 3 stars. It was really probably like a 2.5 or a 2. I know, don't come for me. I went into this really hooked because I was really feeling cozy fantasy. I was really vibing with it and went into it so excited, and then there's just no romance in it. I was like, well, this is, why am I reading it then? You know, like, what? And like, I don't need to know what is on their menu. I want to see their romantic relationship develop. So yeah, I was very disappointed by that, and I don't think it helped that I read something super similar not long after that I just think was a bit better. It's called Curses and Cocktails. It's by S.L. Rowland, and it's basically the same plot except set in like an ocean environment, and it's male instead of female, and I just thought it had better development. It was a bit longer, I think, and it was just developed better, and the magic was more interesting. Like, yeah, okay, moving swiftly on from that because I feel like I've made some people angry. Biggest surprise. The biggest surprise was 100% Fourth Wing. I did not think I was going to like Fourth Wing. I thought I was going to read it and be like, oh, well, this was fun, but like, didn't change my life. No, I was obsessed with Fourth Wing. I read it so quickly, I immediately bought a copy, and then I reread it with my eyes rather than listening to the audiobook. Yeah, something about that book just like hit right. It's too long and it's not well written, but like, I gave it 5 stars. I don't care. Like, that shit was my personality for like a whole 2 weeks of just me thinking about that book non-stop. Like, it just did something. So Fourth Wing, if you don't know, where have you been? It's been everywhere. It blew up on TikTok. It is about Violet Sorrengail, who is the daughter of a big bad general in whatever the fuck the country is called, and she has been told by her mother that she has to go to be a dragon rider in this stupid military academy that like kills people for fun rather than a scribe, which she's been trying to do her whole life because she has like a joint mobility issue and she's like disabled and not as able to like perform physically as people who have been training their whole lives to be dragon riders. And the mum's like, I don't care, your dad died, you're going to do this now. So she goes to be a dragon rider, and the person that she meets first from the academy is, you know, the person whose father was killed by her mother. So like, instant enemies, instant attraction. It's all so messy and ridiculous and so goddamn addictive. And that was a terrible explanation. If you want better, more concise thoughts, Becca in the books is normally pretty good at that, and I know she read it for her rare vlog, so yeah, head in their direction. But I had a fantastic time and I can't wait for Iron Flame. Oh yeah, scooching back to most anticipated release for the second half of the year, Iron Flame. by Rebecca Yarros comes out in November. I keep forgetting because I read Fourth Wing so recently that I've not been waiting for the sequel for that long. But yeah, that comes out in November, like a week before my birthday. 2 days after it comes out, I have like 10 days off work, so I know what I'm doing with the birthday at least. Okay, favourite new author is 100% Rebecca Ross. I've read multiple books by Rebecca Ross this year. So I first read her last year with The River Enchanted, and I gave it 4 stars and I really liked it. I feel like if I reread it now, having already read A Fire Endless, it'd be like a 5-star duology rather than a 4 or 5, you know? And then I read Dreams Lie Beneath, and then I read Divine Rivals, and then I reread Divine Rivals, and she's so good. I need to read the Queen Rising series, the Queen's Rising, whatever that is, and the other standalone that she has, because she's my new favourite person. I love her. And then Ruthless Vows comes out. Does that come out this year? I think it's like late December. I'm also excited about that. Oh, I'm being fed at the end of this year. Excellent. Newest favourite character? Oh, I don't know. I don't really have favourite characters the same way that I used to anymore. Like, I've not imprinted on anybody. Like, I guess, like, I love, like, Win from Happy Place. Oh, and I guess I read Vow of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. I don't know why I can never say that. But, like, I think I read the first book, like, last year. So, like, they're not new. But, like, I do love Cassie and Jace. They were super fun to read in that sequel. So, yeah, I guess Win and Cassie and Jace are, like, my new favourites. Seems right. Okay. Most beautiful book you've bought so far? No. It's just skipping ahead. A book that made you cry. Ghost of the Shadow Market by Cassandra Clare. That book fucked me up. I was so sad. It is a collection of short stories following one of the characters we meet in the Phil Devices mainly, and I don't want to say too much about it because it is very spoilery if you want to read the Shadowhunter Chronicles and haven't yet, but there is a relationship dynamic that it just destroys me, and it made me really sad multiple times, and when I was talking about it to people I started to cry. Like, book hurts me a lot. It was rude. Like, offensive. A book that made you happy. I mean, Happy Place by Emily Henry made me happy. What other books made me happy? Oh, I read The Saviour's Book Cafe Story in Another World, all 5 volumes of that manga. It was just so sweet and cute and like fluffy nonsense, but it was such a nice time. Like, I basically binge read them in an evening, and it was lovely. I had a very nice time. So there's that. Reckless by Elsie Silver. It's just book 4 in the Chestnut Spring series, and it's the only one I've read. I didn't go back and read 1, 2, 3 because everyone on Twitter was screaming about book 4, so I was like, well, that's the one I'm going to read then. And I really did like it, and that made me happy too. It's so ridiculous and cheesy. So Winter and Theo have a one-night stand, and like then Winter ends up pregnant, and I normally don't like surprise pregnancy as a trope. I don't hate it. I hate it when it's like surprise baby. So like, well, I say that's what this is. Like, you know, like the love interest doesn't know that they had a kid, and then they come back into town years later and there's like a child who looks like surprisingly like them. Like that is what this is, but like I was fine with it because like she really tried to tell him, okay? She tried. It's not her fault. But yeah, and their dynamic is he's like so flirty and she's so like, why do you like me? What is going on? Because she's had like a toxic relationship. Like, oh, it's so good, and I really do feel like I should go back and read the other books in the Chestnut Spring series, but like I've already had a great time with this one, you know? Like, do I need anything else? But yeah, that made me happy. The most beautiful book you've bought this year? I don't know. Like, I love the editions of Graceling that I bought when I was in America. I went to New York in February, okay, and I bought these US paperbacks of Graceling, the Graceling Lamb series, because I think they're stunning. Books sent to me, but I don't know what like the prettiest one is. No, I think maybe Divine Rivals, but that's downstairs. I will insert some pictures here about how stunning that edition is. But yeah, that's probably it. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? Well, everything on my September TBR I need to read. I really want to read The Beautiful Ones by Sylvia Moreno Garcia in October. I feel like if I don't read it then, like, will I? Also, House of Leaves is a want to read in October. A couple of my 5-star prediction books I'd really like to read before the end of the year, so I've got Something in the Air right here, nice and easy to grab. It's a historical romance that I think I'm really going to like. The First 15 Lives of Harry August by Claire North, again, one I think I'm really going to like. I just need to sort of prioritise picking them up. I do want to read a lot of spooky-esque things in October, like I've got a couple of like YA thrillers and like mysteries I can pick up. I've got a Stephen King that might be worth reading. I've got some slightly like eerier fantasy, I think, like, you know, verging on the spooky, but we'll see how they go. But yeah, some 5-star predictions, some like seasonal spooky things, and some sequels that I absolutely have no excuse to have not read. Seasonal Fears by Shauna Maguire. Absolutely no reason I should not have read that book. It's just been sat on my shelf for a long time, and that's appalling. Favourite video or post you've done so far this year? I have filmed so few, but my favourite absolutely has to be my New York vlog, and that's less from like a, oh I think this is really great content for other people to watch perspective, and more a, this brings me joy to look at because I went to New York and I went to see lots of shows and I went to see some really cool things and I had a really good time, and I have that video forever. It's just there for me to watch whenever I feel like, oh I wish I was in New York right now, how about I just watch me be in New York instead, you know? So that is definitely the video I am, especially since it took me like a month to edit it because I just didn't want to, because it was going to make me really sad that I wasn't in New York, but we got there in the end. And favourite book community members, well, so we have like the people I know in real life, like my friends, so I'm not going to mention them here because like you'll know who you are. People I love to watch the most, obviously Kayla from Books and Lala, Becca into Books. Katie Marie is a new favourite. God, why is my brain going blank? I love people on Twitter who read all of the romance and then just like quote and highlight their favourite bits, like Sil. Is it the Bookish Voyages? Is that what their Twitter handle is? But like as soon as she says that she likes something, I'm like, oh, sign me up. Yeah, Sil at the Book Voyages on Twitter. Obsessed with all of their thoughts on everything. Okay, so for some reason I can't remember any of the names of the other Twitter people that I get obsessed with, and like I'm constantly getting books from Kindle because of Twitter. So like the Twitter girlies, they got my back, they know what's good. And I appreciate them. I really wish I could remember more of their names, but that ain't happening today. Maybe by the time I get around to posting this I will know, so fingers crossed, pray for me. And yeah, that was the last question. So it is well past the mid-year now, so like tagging people, not the vibe. So I hope that you found this interesting, that it was worth doing this tag late. I just sort of wanted to review my reading a little bit for the year, and I think I did that badly, but at least I talked about a couple of things that I read and was excited about. If you want to know any more about my reading from sort of the end of last year, beginning of this year, when I wasn't filming, let me know what you'd be interested to see, and I will catch you in a new video soon, hopefully. So like, subscribe and comment what you want to see, and I will see y'all soon. Bye.